Okay, here we go. We're looking at a Kazar number 3. Here. Get this out here. Put that up. Wow, look at that. That's a pretty cool cover. It's Kazar, Sheena. We're going to get introduced to this guy here in this issue. And they're flying these bird creatures. We get introduced to these too. This is... should be 1981 right here. We got Bruce Jones, Brent Anderson on the pencils. Bruce Jones is the storytelling. We got Carlos on inks, Jim on the letters, Ross on colors, Roser on colors, Lewis Jones on edits, and Jim Shooter is the chief editor in this issue. Kazar the Savage to forgive Delphine, I think. Delphine. So they're just here playing this game. It's kind of like a badminton game. They're on their little birds here. So in this issue, Kazar and Shanna are going about and forth, and Kazar, he's saying, "Hey, I kind of want to leave the Savage Lands. I kind of want to do me. I kind of want to figure out who Kazar is again, man." And it's Miss and Womp, and they're playing this game. Why they're talking about Kazar going to Savage Land, and then Shanna, she gets a little upset. She's like, let's see here. I haven't given up none of your. Going to look for her. Oh, she was like, she's talking about Leanne, and she's like, you haven't gave up on her. You're still looking for Leanne. You just, that's why you're trying to get out and just leave me here. She's like, you're just leaving me here to watch Zebu and stuff. And then they kind of crash into each other, I believe, and Shanna is falling off. She's falling, and the king and the queen are like, "Hey, you better get them," and we're winning too. So that's pretty neat how the art is, and she's coming over the panels like that. He swoops down, it's like he's swooping down to save her from the panel. It's pretty neat right here. That's neat artwork. She because Kazar wasn't able to save her. There was no saving Shanna on that. Here, they were fighting, and then I can't believe it. I've always thought I was the one with the lousy temper. I'm shocked. And then, why? Because she's acting like a woman. Ladies in love, friend, you haven't noticed it. And Kazar is kind of oblivious to the fact that, Shanna really does love Kazar. Oh, zoom out here. So it is the next day right here, and Kazar and they're all sitting here watching the gladiatorial games that they have going on. And Kazar, they're like, "Come on, this is Bruce, and he's the main fighter of the Wing Society people, and he's egging them on. He's like, "Come on, let's fight," and he's like, "Okay, buddy." So okay, pal, they got it, and Ruth lets him have it right then and there, right in the face. He's got a black eye. So next thing you know, they're going at it, and Bert ever learned is to say who he is. He's talking about he had a parrot, and they're just beating the crap out of each other. And it's Plunder. The question, it's Kevin Plunder is his name, is Kazar's name. Who is it, says the parrot? Oh, he's talking about a joke. It's Plunder, the guy. Yeah. Oh, it's the plumber, and it's a silly joke. So after it's said and done, Kazar whoops up on him. Look at that. He's off the panel right there. It's pretty technical stuff for 1981 here to be doing. I look at this and I think I look at these panels right here and I think 1981. But when I see stuff like this, I think of more modern comics. Like, I think more modern stuff. And when I see that, I feel like it's more modernized stuff. He's kind of off the panel. It's really neat stuff, these Kazar books. So anyways, Kazar beat Ruth. And here's Daphne. Or not Daphne. I can't even say her name now because I'm flustered. The Earth Dweller has made a fool of your boyfriend. It seems, Dolphin, and he's magnificent, so beautiful. I've never seen his likes before. Because she's only known the bird people kind of stuff. So here we are. He's congratulating him. He's telling him, here's the king and his queen of the bird people, and they're like, hey, congratulations on that fight. We're going to have to go and set up another thing that we're doing later tonight. You must join us. And here comes Dolphin. Not dolphin, but it's kind of spelled that way. Oh, Lord Kazar, and he's like, Kazar is always getting in trouble with the ladies. He's always finding himself in between like love triangles or something. So she's telling him about, hey, come this way, and he's inside here in a little dark for an award ceremony, and she was telling him about she was going to give him a reward. Yeah, she had other plans on her mind. Anyways, they kind of get a little frisky, but he's like, hey, I got other. Well, she gets surprised by Zabu, but then he's like, hey, I got another appointment here. Hey, Daphne is my conscious and right that time as usual. Come on, Zabu, we got an appointment, and you're finished with your. I'll be waiting here, Kazar, when you're finished with your appointment. And he's like, oh, murder. I think he probably should have said, oh, brother, or something. Oh my gosh, or something like that. I don't know what the old murder would be about. So, anyways, his appointment was to see Shanna. He's knocking on the door now. Hey, it's open. Oh, look, I'm sorry. I got a little hot under the collar earlier today. I didn't mean. And she's like, I'm a veterinarian. I'm going back. She's like, I'm done with this back in the she wants to go back to the Savage Land. She's done with the Pangea stuff. If you still want me to take Zabu, I will. And that's because he was talking about her and Zabu just kind of hanging out, and he'll do his own thing. And he wants to think, it matters Da-da-da. It just don't. Let's see. So, anyways, he's going. They're going to go out. He's he was like, "Are you sure about a kiss goodbye?" And she's like, "You just don't understand it. I'm sorry, Shanna." And then he's like, "Just for once, do one thing, do right for once in your life, and just go." Yeah, right. So long then. And then as he's gonna go, she's like, "Wait." And here we go. It just a little bit, and it just got hit by. She's like, "What's that on your eye?" And he's like, "I just got hit." And then they're talking about staying, and then it's like, not a chance. How about a half a day? And then she's like, "Forget it." And how about half an hour? And then she's like, "You're on." And so they're lovebirds again, and they're back together. And Dauphine sees that, and she's like, bugs off, shoot, gets away. You know, she's a jealous type. She's gonna hold a grudge. So later on that day, or later at night, they're playing another game. The king has all these. It's like practice. They're using wooden swords, and they're fighting. They're practicing. They're practicing their arts of fighting. Let's see. Yeah. Straight in here. It says, "What goes on afternoon until it gets dark?" And he's like, then we play by the torchlights, and then wait, and when it gets dark, do you quit? And he's like, "No, then we play by the torchlights." And they just keep on practicing playing their fighting game. Here in the stables, we see Brute and Dolphin in here, and he's telling her, "Look, this one. Be careful with this one. This one's a little wild. Be careful with the mare. She is hoaxing." And she's like, "Well, what's hoaxing?" "She's wild." She's like, "What's hoaxing?" "She's wild and heat. She heads straight for her native island. If you cut her free, don't let anybody ride her, and try to be polite to our guests. You know, the king is beckoning, so he's got to go." And so then Dolphin is she's gonna feed it, and then she realized, damn, this thing is really wild. You know, my goodness, she's wild. My goodness, she is wild, knocking her back and stuff. So then we get here, and Sheena about gets knocked off. Well, she does get knocked off. Watch it, that strike, you know, it just barely misses her right here. Pow, and it hits her animal that she's flying. And she's fallen. But, you know, there's safety nets for the people who fall. But here we go. Bruce comes and saves the day. And I have you, my lady. I think I'll keep falling out of the saddle all day if I'm going to continue to get rescued by handsome men, she says. And, you know, they're talking. Da, da, da. And she's like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go get some more stuff from another bird and continue with this fighting and stuff." And so she ends up going and talking to Dolphin, and she's like, "Attendant honey, the stables," and you know Dolphin doesn't even like Sheena because she's with Kazar in the first place. So she's all ready to go, actually. And she's talking about the wild one that's in heat that needs to go, and she straps him on, and farewell, you know, it shoots off, and she's like, farewell, you know, good riddance, see you in a couple weeks, honey, you know. That's an interesting panel too. There at night. Okay, so here's Kazar and the king, and they're saying something's wrong here. My blue warriors are suffering heavy casualties rather suddenly. All the men are fallen, and they only received a little scratch. You know, something's going on here. They see this guy, and he's like, hey, you need to come to the infirmary, the hospital or whatever. So they take off. He sees Daphne again. Daphne comes out, and she's trying to get a kiss. And I have to go, Daphne. We're about, you know, he needs to get out of here. He's got to go. He's got things he has to do. He's like, I don't have time for you, Daphne. And so we're here at the hospital, or the infirmary. Yeah, the field hospital, that is. And this guy that's been injured, he's like, hey, their plans to overthrow the kingdom. Games are who's trying to, and he's like, the sword is dipped in snake venom that was meant to kill the leader of them. And he's like telling them, hey, we need to go find this. I summoned Lord Kazar and the girl Sheena and those who have been around me the longest. Go find them. You know? So he's trying to try to keep them safe and all this. So here they're together and in charge of the stables. And she's like, well, now when Sheena's out of the way, and she says, weren't you in charge of the stables where Sheena? What happened? And where's you gone, Pat? Where's Sheena at? And he's like, what? And then right then and there, this guy comes in, and he's like, you fool. I told you not to. That was one to go into this island here. And the hoaxing skit, it was, I guess a skit is the thing that they fly, will brave anything to return to its birthplace, no matter where it is. And then she's like, isn't that a pity? Because she doesn't care. She just wants Sheena out of it. And she's like, what of it? And, you know, she doesn't care. But that's a good panel right there. I like that panel. And then he's like, the more you know the island of this place, it 6 days, it sunk 6 days ago, Kazar. That's the skit will fly in circles until it falls into the sea. And then Kazar's like, what? Kazar, and here's the king. He's like, Kazar, and he's getting all his people. I told you, has Kip told you I'm to be assassinated? And Kip was the guy that he was just talking to. And he's like, what? Kazar is just learning all this stuff right now. And he's like, 15 minutes ago, he's like, how long ago did Daphne leave, Shanna leave the stables, Daphne? You little idiot. And she was like, 15 minutes ago, I what have I done? She's like, what have I done? She didn't know what she's done. Where the blast is my mount? And yeah, he's going to find him. And then Bruce shows up. And first things come first. Get it, Kazar. Because Bruce, he sees him with Daphne, and that's his girlfriend. And he's like, what are you doing to my, you know, this isn't going to end well. So Kazar kind of, this is a pretty neat panel too. Kazar's doing, you mean around fool, him, Daphne, pawning the dagger of his heels. Bruce, don't be a fool. Don't worry, Daphne. I promise you, your boyfriend won't suffer for long. You know, he's talking about him because Daphne doesn't, you know, is her new boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. And Kazar doesn't really want anything to do with Daphne. And you have Mira run out of your parrot joke. He's like, you ran out of your parrot jokes, haven't you? So he's jealous of it. He about gets him. He hits him with a sword. So I don't know if that sword has poisoned, you know, but he drew blood. The poison will kill him in seconds. And they're just like, oh, shocked. What's going to happen? And what is it, my friend? Tired and groggy. Then all the end, you come for you swiftly. And right then and there, Kazar comes back with his knife and cuts his blade and gets him. You know, they're about to do... And then, wait, he said assassinate me? You can't forgive me just about anything, Ruth, but a man who plots to assassinate his ruler. And he's like, what? Assassination? Me? A wooden sword? Are you mad? He's like, Ruth wasn't trying to kill anybody. And he's like, Tip, no! And then Tip actually hits the guy with his sword. The Tip was the bad guy all along, and we didn't even know. Kazar gets his little sling with the rock and zap, pops him, man. And at the end, right here, I don't know, I want to say he makes it, but I don't know. We'll have to find out in the next issue. But he says, promise me, Bruce, promise me that you'll help Kazar restore the kingdom. Promise me that. And Kazar, he's like, goodbye, Kazar. Tell Shanna goodbye for me too. Tell her sorry to be so rude. And he's like, Shanna. Well, I don't like that drawing that angle, but I guess the nose looks funny or something. I don't know. But it is a caveman-ish looking drawing. It's just the angle of it, but it's pretty unique looking. So then they go, he's like, look, we need to go. Where's this the island where this thing is going? I don't know. I never heard of it. It's due south of here. Why? Come on, I'll explain why we ride. So Bruce and Kazar take off to look for Shanna, because Shanna's on one of these little skit birds, and that bird's going home to roost or mate, or because it's in heat. But that island is no longer there, and it says when the sea gives up, it's dead. And they're like, well, you're surely drowned, and Kazar doesn't care. He's going to find Shanna, because that's Kazar for you. 100 toy soldiers for $1.98. So this is Kazar number 3. And as the Cape Babes would say, the rip, rest in peace, Ed Piscar. He would tell Jimmy to give him the marching orders, read more comics.